Fox News alert, the Republicans are projected to win the House, meaning Nancy Pelosi will no longer be the Speaker of the House. She'll probably be the Italian ambassador. And if she does stick around, Democrats are coming for her crown. The House margin isn't as big as we expected. Republicans will probably have between a 5 and a 10 seat majority, and Kevin McCarthy will be Speaker. But we'll be facing some serious rebellions. The Senate is still in play. There was no red wave in the Senate. The only way Republicans win the Senate at this point is if they win Nevada, where Republican Adam Laxalt is ahead by about 23,000 votes. It looks good there, but we still don't know. But that makes me a little nervous since Clark County, meaning Las Vegas, will be counting, they say, for days. So it looks like, again, this comes down to a runoff in Georgia. That'll be in December. Walker and Warnock did not hit 50%. A lot of that has to do with the Libertarian candidate you've never heard of. Thank you, Chase Oliver, who ate up 2% of the vote and made it that much harder for either candidate to hit 50. What a spoiler. Ron Johnson was the winner in Wisconsin. Ted Budd was the winner in North Carolina. Rubio won his race in Florida big time. Congratulations. But Dr. Oz lost to John Fetterman by 200,000 votes, by 3%. I did not see that coming. Abortion played a big role in Pennsylvania. It was top of mind for voters, as the press secretary would say. And Republican voters didn't seem to trust Dr. Oz. And after that bruising primary battle, he wasn't able to pull it together. He was a Trump pick, so that hurts. And Mitch McConnell dropped about almost $60 million in Pennsylvania helping Oz, and that hurts too. The Republican candidate for governor in Pennsylvania got blown out, and that also really hurt Oz. But the people of Pennsylvania, they wanted Fetterman, and they're going to get John Fetterman for 6 years, if he can make it. And they also got Giselle Fetterman, and the stenographer who travels around with the Fetterman and keeps the computer handy for translation. It just tells you the Democrats will vote for anybody and anything. This is basically like us against them now. Republicans and Democrats could both nominate a glass of orange juice, and Democrats will still show up. They ran a scam in Pennsylvania, too, because Fetterman hid his health for months while the media covered for him, and early votes poured in, and refused to debate Oz until the very last week, while he'd already banked thousands of early votes. He deceived the voters and got away with it. This early voting thing, Republicans have to get a handle on. We show up on Election Day, and Democrats show up weeks before Election Day, day after day after day. What's the Republican strategy on early voting? I don't know. Do you? I'd like to find out, because the Democratic machine in Philly and all over Pennsylvania is grinding out early votes at a crazy clip. And come Election Day, Republicans have a big mountain to climb. Unless we have a game plan for these mail-in ballots and early voting, this is deja vu. J.D. Vance won in Ohio. Congratulations. Trump endorsed him. I like J.D. But McConnell had to plow about $32 million to help J.D. win in a state that Trump won by 8. That money could have gone to Masters in Arizona. Now, Masters, who I also like, didn't raise enough dough. Got outspent by about $1 billion, a gazillion dollars, I can't keep track. And got defined early by Kelly's money is kind of out there. Now, Arizona's tricky. Republicans have to run independent type guys out there. It's a McCain state, Maverick state. Sinema does her thing out there. It's weird. Nobody can even define what Kelly believes in, but it works. All we know is that he's an astronaut who has great
Democrats
manners or
will vote
something.
for
McConnell
anybody
spent
as long
close
as
to
they're a Democrat. They don't care.
$400 million on these Senate candidates. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but that is a lot of money. And we didn't pick up a single seat. So either some of these candidates are garbage, or the money's not being well spent. But
No wonder
Trump's
Carrie
sitting on a
Lake's having
massive
a hard
war chest
time.
in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know. The governor's races were all over the map. Ron DeSantis ran up the score in Florida with a 20-point blowout win. Congratulations. Republicans never win that big in Florida, ever. The man is sitting on a pile of political capital and has a ton of momentum. And we'll get more into that later on in the show and what that means for the presidential race. Lee Zeldin in New York came real close in a deep blue state, only lost by a few points. Obama, Biden, Kamala, the Clintons all had to swoop in and save Hochul from an upset. And Zeldin had coattails. Republicans won a bunch of House seats in New York. Crime a major issue. Stacey Abrams went down hard in Georgia, and she actually conceded this time. Kemp won by 7 points and really outperformed Herschel Walker, which is going to be a big problem in the runoff. Stacey can now go back to writing erotic novels and go teach at Harvard with Brian Stelter, and then run again in 2026. And Beto O'Rourke lost for the third consecutive time. He's now lost a presidential primary, a Senate race, and a governor's race. He's running out of offices to run for. And between Abrams and O'Rourke, Democrats have burned nearly $200 million. A lot of cheese. And that brings us to Kari Lake, who was in a nail-biter in Arizona. There was some shenanigans in Maricopa County, or incompetence, we don't even know. 20% of voting stations in that county had machines that ran out of ink. Katie Hobbs is the Secretary of State in Arizona. She's in charge of elections. And there was an ink shortage in Maricopa County, the county that decides the race. And they were short ink the day most Republicans vote, Election Day. Where'd you hide the ink, Katie? I'm just kidding. I'm sure it was an honest mistake.
Oh, right.
Now, Lake's down just 4,000 votes, but there's tons more to come in, and it's basically a dead heat, but most people think Lake's going to pull this out. Now, the exit polls tell us a lot about what happened last night. Republicans are making major inroads with blacks and Latinos and are doing even better with men, suburban women, and the working class. And that's nothing to sneeze at. So long term, this is fantastic news for the Republican Party. But Democrats are dominating the cities. I mean, absolute dominations. 85 to 15 types of spreads. Also, single women are breaking for Democrats by 30 points. And this makes sense when you think about how Democrat policies are designed to keep women single. But once women get married, they vote Republican. Married women, married men go for Republicans by double digits. But single women and voters under 40 have been captured by Democrats. So we need these ladies to get married. And it's time to fall in love and just settle down. Guys, go put a ring on it. And abortion is really driving turnout. In some cases, it drove turnout more than inflation. So Republicans have to figure out if they're for a total abortion ban or if they're for legalization in the first trimester. But back to the women. They're also teaching our children in schools. So you have hardcore Democrat females in school with your kids for 8 hours a day. We've seen the videos. We've showed you what they teach in those classrooms too. So there's a brainwashing pipeline that runs through women and children, and it's starting to show up on Election Day. Now, looking ahead in the next 2 cycles, the Democrats' luck is probably going to run out. They're defending an insane amount of Senate seats. And a lot of them are in red states like Montana, Ohio. So this little run that they're on in the Senate, not going to last forever. The Democrats lost the House, and the path is open for them to lose the Senate. So, is Joe Biden running again?
My intention is that I'm going to run again.
What in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently to change people's opinion of the direction of the country, particularly as you contemplate a run for president in 2024?
Nothing.
So Joe Biden learned nothing from last night. 75% of the country says we're on the right track, but he's not going to change a thing. Even CNN says that's insulting.
You have 75% of the country saying that we're headed in the wrong direction. He said he just wouldn't do anything different because, of course, our achievements take a long time to be recognized. That's insulting people. And I don't think that was a good answer from the president.
And it looks like Donald Trump's announcing next week, so it's shaping up to be another rematch. Does Trump win? I hope so. I love the guy. And a week ago, I would have said slam dunk. But after how last night shook out, I don't know now. Democrats will walk over hot coals to vote against Trump, but will Republicans do that to vote against Joe Biden? Joe Biden isn't the Clintons. He's not Obama. He doesn't bring out the type of passion and anger the way these other Democrats have done. Republicans just see him as this incompetent, lazy old joke. So there's not a lot of emotions going on with Joe. But there are around the country tonight, and you can't really characterize how this midterm went. All these races were different, all these candidates were different, but we need to run every election like Florida, don't we? We found out who won early that night. The vote's secure, we have confidence in it, and we don't have to wait days to find out who won, which makes people suspicious, and it particularly annoys me. Let's bring in South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. So, Lindsey, you came on primetime, and you predicted 53 Senate seats for the Republicans. What the hell happened?
Right. I think I may be one or two short, but here's what happened. Before the midterms, the Democrats had the House. They don't have it today, and our majority is going to grow, and they're going to lose the Senate by December the 6th. So what is that? Is that a good day for Republicans? If you had both houses as Democrats, by December you're going to have a Republican majority in both houses. You lost, and here's what I think. Warnock doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell if we'll get behind Herschel Walker. If you're an incumbent and you come up short the first time, you're not going to win the second time if the opponent has a chance to get their message out. Leffler and Perdue fell short. Both of them lost. Warnock's going to lose. TeamHerschel.com. He needs money. He got outspent 3-1. He's going to be in a runoff December the 6th.
I know December 6th is a critical day. I get it, and that really is going to determine where the Senate
tomorrow's
goes.
a critical day.
I agree.
No,
Listen,
a critical day.
okay, I got you. But he underperformed Kemp. He did. So it makes me nervous. I mean, why should I not be nervous about hanging this all on Herschel Walker? I like the guy. I want him to win. But Kemp blew out Abrams, and Walker came up short.
There's a 4-point differential. If you're an incumbent, trust me, with $100 million, you're tough to beat. And if you don't win the first time around, you're going to lose. He got 49% of the vote, outspending his opponent 3-1. Every media outlet in the country tried to destroy Herschel Walker, and he basically tied him. We're going to have an election December the 6th. Leffler and Perdue are good friends of mine. They lost. If we get behind Herschel, TeamHerschel.com, and give him the money, Warnock's going to lose. I wouldn't trade positions at all in Georgia.
Well, I like your
Nevada
confidence.
is going to go.
I like your confidence.
Well,
and
it's not
Nevada is going to go.
confidence, it's just fact.
Okay, well, we haven't had the race yet. All right, we haven't had it yet, and I agree, Laxalt's going to win. What happened in Pennsylvania?
I think you nailed it. Early vote killed us. Pennsylvania is a tough race. When your governor candidate loses by 14, it's pretty hard for you to win as a Senate candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So Nevada is going to go Republican in the next 24 hours. There's no way for her to get there. Laxalt has a lead that I think is insurmountable. Watch Arizona.
Yeah, what's going on with Masters? You think? Yeah, Masters is done though, right? I mean, I love Blake Masters.
No, he's not done. Carrie Lake will be governor. She's going to win by 3 points.
Okay.
It's over in the governor's race.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been doing this for a while. If you're running against an incumbent, astronaut like Mark Kelly, you've never run before, the guy's got $100 million to pound you, and you only raise 10, it's tough. But here's what's going to happen in Arizona. There's hundreds of thousands of votes that are same-day voting that's going to put Carrie Lake over the top,
okay.
And Blake is going to close. Whether or not he gets there, I don't know. But I do know this. Nevada is going to go Republican tomorrow.
Okay.
And on December the 6th, if we'll give money to TeamHerschel.com, like right now, because every liberal is going to hit Warnock, like right now, TeamHerschel.com, we're going to win Georgia. We'll be at 51.
There you go.
Maybe 52. We won the House. We're going to take back the Senate. We're going to stop all this crazy crap. We're going to have the gavel. We'll stop crazy judges. TeamHerschel.com.
Right, and we're going to have Herschel
there
Walker
is
on
a
the
tidal
show.
wave coming.
All right.
Good.
All right.
And you're going to do what? Go TeamHerschel.com. This guy deserves our help.
All right.
I mean, he stood in the breach for all of us. Let's help him.
What was the website again? I missed it the first time.
I think it's TeamHerschel.com. Check.
All right, Lindsey Graham, making me feel a little bit better.
God bless you, man.
Thank you
We're
very
gonna
much.
win.
All
We're
right,
gonna win.
all right. I hope so. Thank you. Now the red wave hit Florida, so is Ron DeSantis running for president? And what do people think about last night's midterms?
What did you do instead of voting?
I was out.
Did you have a hot date last night that you couldn't vote?
She was pretty hot.
Yeah, where'd you take her?
The Shake Shack.
You couldn't treat her to anything else?
Depends on what we was doing after.
Ron DeSantis blew the doors off last night, curb stomping Charlie Crist. A 20-point victory, the biggest Republican victory in the history of Florida.
Thanks to the overwhelming support of the people of Florida, we not only won election, we have rewritten the political map. Thank you for honoring
Republican. Ron DeSantis blew the doors off last night, curb stomping Charlie Crist. A 20-point victory, the biggest Republican victory in the history of Florida.
Thanks to the overwhelming support of the people of Florida, we not only won election, we have rewritten the political map.
Yay.
Thank you for honoring us with a win for the ages.
DeSantis won the governorship in 2018 by 0.3%. So from 0.3% to 20%, he's built a coalition that's scaring the hell out of the Democratic Party.
What is the lesson you are drawing here in terms of the Hispanic vote? How alarmed should Democrats be?
Well, in Florida, it's catastrophic. So obviously we saw great erosion in 20 in the presidential race. Now let's remember, Barack Obama won in 2012, basically tied the Cuban vote, got over 70% of the Hispanic vote. So the Obama coalition in Florida is gone.
DeSantis won Miami-Dade, which is 70% Hispanic. That's what happens when you don't call Hispanics tacos. He won Cubans, but he also won Puerto Ricans in the Orlando area. He absolutely crushed it. But if you ask the media, Hispanics hate Ron. They just got tricked.
There's going to be a question in Democratic circles. I mean, have we lost Florida now to the Republicans?
They've been very slowly losing Florida to the to the Republicans. And when I see those numbers, blue Miami-Dade, as you can see in that map, Miami-Dade is probably the bluest county in the state. And really, it's the Democrats that have themselves to blame for this.
Well, did the rich liberals who winter in Palm Beach get tricked too? Because DeSantis cleaned up in Palm Beach County, another blue county. DeSantis won Florida by a bigger margin than Gavin Newsom won California, which should really stick in Gavin's hair gel. And everyone was so worried about all these blue state Democrats, fleeing places like New York to Florida and turning it blue. But turns out Florida man made them red. This is what happens when you take a strong stand on the issues. This is what happens when you go on offense. Ron DeSantis kept the state open during the pandemic, while the media called him a mass murderer. He confronted Disney, the most iconic and profitable company in the state, and he was rewarded for that because he listened to parents and wasn't scared of the press. And he's effective. Just ask the liberals of Martha's Vineyard. And he's confident. You don't even hear about the Cat 5 hurricane anymore. The state's recovering much faster than expected. They run clean elections, too. They tell you who won that night. They counted 7 million ballots. It's done.
Exactly.
It's going to take a whole week for
Why can't
Arizona
those
to
other
count 2 million.
states do that?
Florida's now a solid red state, not a swing state anymore. And so what does this mean for the next presidential election? Ron DeSantis is the hottest Republican governor in the country with a strong record, even though his wife is really his secret weapon. And Donald Trump's already calling him names.
He's a
The
pretty
former
good secret
president
weapon.
may be announcing his plans next week. Does DeSantis enter the primary with Trump? That sounds vicious. Glenn Youngkin's the governor of Virginia, who joins me right now. So what's going on down in Florida? Solid red now, right?
Well, good evening, Jesse, and thank you for having me. And I think what we saw in Florida was the result of great leadership from Ron DeSantis, and Floridians rewarded him. And we saw that all over the country with Republican governors who had done a great job leading out of the pandemic, and that's what Governor DeSantis did. I think this is all about results. And at the end of the day, voters want their elected leaders to deliver results, and they're a lot less inclined about making sure that they're either Republicans or Democrats when they're delivering for them. And that's exactly what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida, and I think we'll see it across the nation as we look at these final results where, Governor Kemp in Georgia and Governor DeWine in Ohio and Governor Abbott in Texas had the exact same kinds of strong showings because they delivered results, particularly coming out of the pandemic. That's what we saw in Virginia as well, Jesse. Last year when we brought folks together about delivering results, I think that we're able to bring people to the Republican Party who may not have ever been there before. And that's directly representative of the Miami-Dade Latino showing. So this is a moment for Republican governors, and particularly Ron DeSantis, to show that results matter.
Yeah, and Abbott crushed Beto and put him out of his misery, so we don't have to watch him dance around on tables anymore. So it was up and down for governors. I mean, Zeldin came within inches. I thought that was going to be different. Tudor, who I know you gave a very nice vest to up in Michigan, lost by a hair. That was disappointing. It looks like Carrie Lake's going to eke things out. How would you interpret what happened with some of these races that didn't go? Again, Pennsylvania, that governor's race was a blowout. What went wrong there?
Well, let me just back up, and we've still got two races we're waiting on, and I think Nevada and Arizona look like they're breaking the right direction. And I think that just again reflects the fact that that Arizonians want a Republican governor, and the Nevada voters said clearly that they want to change. And again, results matter. And I think Sheriff Lombardo's demonstrated for folks in Las Vegas that he can deliver for them, and he's being rewarded for it. And so again, this is a moment where folks were voting for people that they had trust in, and we had a couple of them came up short. I really was pulling hard for Lee Zeldin. I thought he might, because of the crime that really has overtaken New York, really show New Yorkers that Republicans should win.
So, Governor, does Ron DeSantis get into a primary with Donald Trump?
Well, I can't begin to speculate on what's going to happen as we look towards 2024. I think what's really going to happen now is people are going to go to work. And I think this is the big message as we look to the future. It's time to deliver. Folks that were rewarded by strong showings from their constituents now need to go deliver for them. And I think this is the big message for the Republicans: is it's time to deliver.
Yeah.
It's time to make good on promises made. And I think that if we can do that, then we can continue to deliver on getting inflation down and back in the blue and making sure parents are at the head of their families. And this is going to be a great time for Republicans to show that we can deliver.
Absolutely, and I'm still waiting for you to deliver the Glenn Youngkin vest to my desk. We'll be looking for it. Thank you very much, Governor.
I look forward to seeing you soon, Jesse.
All right, take care. Joe Biden just dared House Republicans to investigate him. Even though it hasn't been officially called yet, Republicans are on track to take back the House. It'll be a slimmer majority than we thought, but it means that Biden's spending spree is over. Republicans made major gains in blue states in New York. Republicans got a big scalp. One of the top Democrat leaders, Patrick Maloney, the guy who told you to eat Chef Boyardee to suck up inflation, lost. House Republicans did great in New York, picking up a bunch of seats. And it looks like they're going to flip a bunch of seats in California, too. Crime and quality of life are driving those wins. Also, some January 6th committee members lost, so there'll be a new type of investigation next year. In fact, there'll be a lot of them.
What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say.
Biden's going to need all the luck he can get, because Republicans will have bank records, Treasury Department records, tax records, witness testimony. They're going to be fingering Joe Biden as the big guy on live television. It'll be hard to keep a lid on this explosive testimony, and hard evidence that could show Joe Biden was compromised by a foreign power, was in business with the communist Chinese, doing favors for his son's business partners,
the White House
even getting
like you can
kickbacks.
everybody else.
That sounds like the end of democracy to me. Also, Fauci's going to be in the hot seat. He'll have to testify under oath about the origins of COVID-19. What did he know, and when
Finally,
did
we
he
might
know
be
it?
able to hear
And
something.
how much money is he getting from Pfizer?
Might actually have
And the
to talk.
Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, is probably going to get impeached for blowing up the border. And we're going to hear from FBI whistleblowers about targeting parents and Democrats' political enemies, and how the feds conspired with big tech to cancel you for asking the right questions. Kevin McCarthy is going to have his hands full with investigations and rebellions from his right flank and party discipline.
It'll be great.
It's going to be a problem since there's such a small margin for error.
that time. Of course,
He's
the
going to get
liberals won't
together
want to
for
report
Nancy,
on
and
it.
Nancy's going to have to decide whether she's going to be the minority leader or ambassador to Italy. And if she decides to stay, Democrats are already plotting to overthrow her. So it's going to get spicy. Tulsi Gabbard's a former
Time for her to
2020
go. Oh,
presidential
wretch.
candidate who just left the Democratic Party, and she joins us now. So how do you interpret what went down in the House last night?
Jesse, I'm not a political pundit, but I can tell you, given the direction that things are headed, I think the thing that's most important to the American people is that whether they're Democrats or Republicans,
wised up.
do your job. Don't just worry about, well, which team won, which team lost, how do we strategize and maneuver in order to make sure that our team wins in the next election. There are so many very, very real issues and challenges that people are dealing with every day in this country, and they expect these people who just got elected or reelected to actually go there, do their job, and advocate for them rather than just pursuing partisan interests.
If they do launch a slew of investigations, which are worthy, do you think the voters are going to say, hey guys, can you cut that partisan stuff out? Can you try to fix inflation or crime or the border?
I think every decision really does need to be weighed on how does this best serve the well-being and the interests of the American people, our national security, and our country. So I know the Republicans are talking about a whole slew of different things. What they really should be doing is weighing each and every one of them based on that context. How does this best serve the well-being of the American people in our country, and let that be the guidelines and the North Star in how they make their decisions.
Well, they should be able to do both. They should be able to provide oversight and find out what the Joe Biden family is up to, find out what's going down at the border, and also cut these purse strings in half because this inflation and spending is out of control. What would be the first thing if there was a Speaker Tulsi Gabbard? What would be the first thing you'd launch off with in the new Congress?
Ooh. That is that's a tough question because there's a lot of priorities. Dealing with inflation has got to be the top of the list because I've just met over the last few weeks traveling the country a lot of folks who are really, really concerned about how they're going to afford to pay their heating bill and also take care of the basic necessities they need to provide for their families. I would address and undo all of the incredible overreach of this administration, abusing their executive power and violating our fundamental God-given rights and freedoms in the Constitution, and work on the crime. Crime is out of control, and securing our borders. I think those are really the top priorities that have an effect on our everyday lives that must be tackled by leaders in Washington.
Is it true that a non-member of Congress can be Speaker? Because there are rumors that you might be. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know you are.
All right, Tulsi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jesse.
Up next, since Republicans took the House, is democracy dead?